The conversations in here were rotating around what you can have for breakfast. It's Thursday, and we are here again to make sure that we entertain you, inform you, but pretty much give you information that will inspire your morning. Because as UBC, as we inspire Uganda, it is rightful for us to always seek for the right information, news, and of course, the right kind of analysis to kickstart off your day. On a fruitful Thursday, the 22nd of February 2024, we are going and we are doing good in the year 2024 so far. 2 months down the good, and we are definitely very happy to be into this particular one. But besides that, when you look at what is trending all over different platforms as well, quite a number of details and a lot of news that is coming your way here, and that is what we will definitely be diving into amongst the key points of discussions. When you look at Adjumani and Obongi leaders decrying drug shortages among the other reports, on the other hand, in regards to the security matters, the Uganda police did release the annual crime report for 2023, and of course that is also going to be our point of discussion when it comes to our newsreel this morning. Welcome on board to Good Morning Uganda. We are live from Broadcast House in Kampala, Nile Avenue. I am Joram Paul Sonko with the team Robert Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono and Chantal Oliver Kandinda, where we are here to make sure that your morning does not stay the same. The energy is there, and so is the kind of information that we've gathered for you. So sit back, relax. You know what they say, as the white man says, play. And we are here for Thursday. Good morning, Chantal Oliver Kandinda.
Good morning, Sandra. How are you today?
I am doing okay.
You know why I'm laughing? Because that statement reminds me of someone. I think she looked in the middle and froze. You know what other English word to use.
Play.
And that was it. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us every single morning. And I'm glad that we get to be here. It is a Thursday. And today I'm just throwing back in an informative way. Those of us that registered the first time to get our IDs, the very first enrollment, I have news. We are supposed to be starting the renewal exercise this June. And in the next few months, there is going to be enrollment of mass sensitization, and the reasons as to why. There is a feature that has been added to the ID as well. That is a biometric feature. And so many also, well, I'm just giving you a heads up. You who are as old as I am, most likely older even, I shall be doing our renewals.
You know, when you mentioned something to do with the nearer national IDs renewals, I have one registered around 2015 for the national ID. Lucky enough, or quite unfortunate at the time, I didn't receive that national ID for a period of 5 to 7 years, because I received it last year. When I went through different avenues, went to NIRA in Kololo, have spent a lot, I was actually spending a lot of money seeking for just the national ID. And then, also for people like me, by the way, whose national IDs are expiring in, let's say, 10 years' time, well, you need to know that at least for you, you can still use that national ID. But for those whose national IDs are expiring this year, next year, and a year afterwards, it is right for you to go in there and renew your national IDs. But besides that, Chantal, how is your morning?
I'm doing pretty well. It's a bit hot. It's been a hot couple of days. And guess what? We are not headed for a different day. Yesterday was about 30 degrees Celsius. Today it's likely to be at about 34 degrees Celsius. So if you're planning to head out, brace yourself, wear light, because it's going to be a really hot day. And the nights are also hot, the mornings are hot. You shower cold, so you get into the shower and you're still feeling hot. I'm still trying to get how that works, but yes.
Right. And indeed, as we were actually coming to work this morning, around Nakawa, there is a billboard as you're branching off to the Makerere University Business School. You realize they were actually showing that the degrees were already shooting up to 31 degrees Celsius. So that shows...
By end of the day, we shall be at about 34 degrees Celsius. And this usually happens between the hour of midday and 3 p.m. So brace yourself. If you're someone who usually has an active day and is out in the open, please do wear some sunscreen, especially for the ladies. so that your skin is protected from the ultraviolet rays. Also, please get shades that are supposed to protect your eyes, not the shades that are just for the sake of they have the color, or they look like shades, but no. Get the ones that will protect your eyes, yes, it's very important.
You're hitting on us who go downtown to buy 5,000. But besides that, also remember to hydrate. Hydrate pretty much with maybe 1.5 liters of water every after like 3 hours or 2 hours, by the way, because the weather conditions as of now do look too hot to handle. And if at all you're at home, it is also wise enough to get some time off and get into the bathroom for quite a number of times for as long as the heat increases. But besides that, let me check on Robert Chirabo Nyonyi this morning. How are you doing, Robert? How is your morning and what are you throwing back to?
Well, you guys are talking of hotness, hot. I just pray the pockets are not hot. Because I pray the pockets are not hot. Otherwise, if the pockets, if the pockets are hot, then
they are hot and dry.
They are hot and dry, then becomes a problem. Because the politics is hot. Yesterday, the Katonga fraction of FDC, I saw the interim president, Erias Lukwago, the Lord Mayor of Kampala. These people came up with a number of proposals, among which include forming another party. You know, forming another political party. Now, that is how hot it is. When you go to NRM, don't forget there's still that little bit of confusion what is happening. The PLU, where we see some people in the NRM there. There's some minister trending, Major General Otafire, with what he believes this is wrong. So we must say that politics is hot. It is really hot in National Unity Platform. Also there we have the issues of Abedi Wanika and some members in NUP feeling that maybe this person is not very much NUPish. He could be, there is a confusion there. So that
when did you add NUPish to the new vocabulary?
He's not a Konk member.
They believe he's either he's not NUPish enough. And then away from that, also the police crime report was released yesterday.
True.
And despite the fact that crime had reduced, there are some crimes that were shooting up, and amongst them is sexual related offenses. Now this goes to the Ministry of Education. This morning I came in a little bit late because I had to drive a young girl to school that I don't know. I woke up very early. I had to go to some place first to drop my son. But I met this young girl, about 15 years. This area is so risky, and she's moving. And I told her, young girl, when I'm on my bike, I'm not afraid of people holding guns, because our government has managed that. But I'm afraid of these young groups of boys.
Yes.
B16, Buchifesi, that you land in and they'll rob you of anything and beat you up. And I asked her, how dare you move through this path at such a time? So I told her, you know what? Which school to go to? She mentioned. I said, sit on my bike. I get you to that school. Because I'm a father.
Right.
It will hurt me so much. Not that something wrong happened to you. And I had to drop her, then continue with the other person I was supposed to drop. But I want to urge the Ministry of Education. When I got there, I found that others were already in class. Not in preps. There's a teacher teaching.
By 5:30.
By 6.
By 6 in the morning.
By 6 in the morning. Actually by 5, around 5:30. And I was very upset. Said, what is that? Because the ministry has a syllabus.
Right.
That tells you how many hours, what time school is supposed to start. But then a teacher tells you, for us to recover first term and second term work.
In
second
first term.
term in first term. And this is a professional teacher. Please, Ministry of Education, save these young daughters. These kids are being beaten. Some girls are going to be raped. There's so much that is happening. Why should you start teaching as early as that time?
And you know, what is more worrying is the fact that if I'm to remember the time we used to go for kindergarten in my years, it was around 8 o'clock.
Right.
8 a.m. But as of today, 5 a.m., you're seeing a baby class pupil or child being picked at home. So I think that is something that pretty much needs a lot of revision in regards to what the education ministry should look at, especially when it comes to the time these particular children are supposed to be in class, and also how long are they supposed to be studying, because they are still young, and as the mind is developing, you cannot put them at the expense of overreading and getting up as early as 5 a.m. because it does not look healthy at all. But besides that, we've gathered some good information coming your way this morning, and with that we start off from the local scene with what has been making headlines from Uganda.
We'll begin with President Yoweri Museveni, who has met a group of leaders from the Teso sub-region at State House Entebbe. The group, who was led by Calvin Echudu, the National Resistance Movement, that is NRM, flag bearer of Soroti West constituency. The engagement was a follow-up of a meeting between the president and the leaders. The first meeting was held on the 22nd of December last year at State House in Entebbe. In the meeting, President Museveni tasked the leaders to brief him on how much income each household earns in Teso on average, and land holding in the sub-region, on what enterprise that can be done on the available land, and how the government can help the area locals. The president was pleased with the report because it thoroughly analyzed the questions he had asked the team in December. He also promised to make a few adjustments in the report and offer further guidance. On the other hand, President Museveni was happy to note that the team realized that the people of Teso need to go into dairy farming through crossbreeding their local cows with Jersey cattle, since the Frisian cow cannot stand the weather in the sub-region. President Museveni was also happy with the report findings that fruits used in the Teju fruit factory are the right ones, suppressing previous allegations that the fruits supplied to the factory were being imported. Moving to crime, police report from 2023 indicates a significant reduction in overall crime rate across the country, with theft being the most frequent reported crime. On average, there were 19,006 cases of theft recorded per month in 2023, compared to 16,000 in 2022. This reduction in crime has been attributed to the corroboration efforts of various security agencies in response to criminal activities. Notably, the North Choga region and the division of Katwe have been identified as the areas with the highest crime rate. The 2023 police report revealed a decline in the crime rate by 1.5% from 231,653 cases in 2022 to 228,074 cases. This reduction was made possible through collaboration and coordination between police and agencies such as prison, SFC, CMI, JAT, and others, resulting in the reduction in crimes such as gun-related offenses, illegal firearms possession, terrorism, gang activities, marine crimes, house breakings, and motor vehicle theft. The theft remains in most reported cases. Motor vehicle theft is among the cases that remain among the most reported. And away from crime, we move to politics. A segment of FDC party members in the Katonga faction have suggested to abandon the party name FDC and establish a new political party, given that Najjanankumbi faction retains the legal instruments of FDC. The decision emerged from the National Council meeting held yesterday, emphasizing the need for advanced resolutions as elections approach. FDC currently grapples with two fractions, one situated at Katonga and the other remains at Najjanankumbi. A National Council meeting comprising of all district chairpersons of FDC convened yesterday at Katonga offices in Kampala. The primary focus was on finding solutions to the ongoing conflicts within the party. One prominent proposal from the meeting was to languish the name FDC and establish a new political party. Others expressed concern about the limited time frame and asked for unity, as forming a new party may consume considerable time. However, the interim FDC party president Elias Lukwago and party chairman Waswa Birigwa decried the additional consultations to be conducted to arrive at an informed decision. And finally, from the local scene, government through Markets and Agriculture Trade Improvement Project started enhancing the status of markets across the country. Despite the success of 2 phases of both Might and 1 and 2, the MPs sitting on the Parliamentary Committee on Local Government want the list of markets developed. The Minister of State for Local Government, Businje Rushoke, and the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Local Government, Ben Kumanya, responded to the concerns over the status of the central and luxurious markets under Might, and the MPs wanted to understand why most of the markets have remained with empty stalls while some have revenue issues.
And well, then, that is it from our local news this morning and what we've been able to gather for you from our local scene in Uganda. But besides that, we also have more news coming in from across the borders of the country, on the continent and away from the continent. Chantal Olive has details.
Well, crossing over to the international scene, we start with the UK that has airdropped aid into Gaza for the first time since the war broke out after striking a deal with Jordan. 4 tons of supplies, including medicines, food and fuel, were delivered into the Strip on a Jordanian Air Force plane on Wednesday. Packages fitted with parachutes floated down to the Tal Al-Hawa hospital in northern Gaza. UK Foreign Secretary David Cameron said the aid would save lives and keep the hospital running. The UK has until now only sent aid to Gaza by land and sea, but northern Gaza, a wasteland after nearly 5 months of war, is impossible to reach. The World Food Programme has suspended deliveries there because its convoys had endured complete chaos and violence, the organization said. There is a heavy Israeli military presence in the area and much of the population was forced south. However, an estimated 300,000 Palestinians remain in the northern Gaza with little food or water, and the UN has warned for months of a looming famine there. Away from that, Australian Bishop Christopher Saunders has been charged with rape and a string of historical sex offences against some children. The 74-year-old was arrested in Broome on Wednesday after parallel investigations ordered by Western Australian police and the Pope. Mr. Saunders, who has denied allegations in the past, was refused bail and will appear in court on Thursday. He is one of the most senior Catholics to face charges of this nature. Mr. Saunders is accused of 2 counts of rape, 14 counts of unlawful and indecent assault, and 3 counts of indecently dealing with a child as a person in authority. The alleged offending occurred in the remote Western Australian towns of Broome, Kanonara, and Aboriginal community of Kalulumba, which between 2008 and 2014. Aside from the late Cardinal George Pell, who was jailed and then acquitted, Mr. Saunders is the most senior Catholic official in the country to be charged with sex offences. Moving on, the UN has imposed an arms embargo, travel ban and asset freeze against 6 rebel leaders in the Democratic Republic of Congo amidst violence in the country's east. Those sanctioned include the military spokesman of the M23 rebel group, a general in the Democratic Forces for the Liberation of Rwanda, and 2 senior leaders in the Ugandan armed group Allied Democratic Forces. The others are the leaders of the National Coalition of the People for the Sovereignty of Congo, a Mai group, and a commander in the armed group Twirwaneho. The announcement followed a UN Security Council meeting on Tuesday aimed at discussing the dire security situation in Congo. We are pleased that as of today, 6 additional armed group leaders will be designated by the UN DR Congo Sanctions Committee. Robert Wood, U.S. Alternative Representative for the Special Political Affairs in the UN, said. These individuals are responsible for numerous abuses, he said. The M23 and FDLR have been at the center of tensions between the Congolese and Rwandan governments. And moving on, as we cross over to matters climate, governments are drawing their battle lines over what a new global climate finance goal should look like as talks face time pressure for a decision to be made at COP29. With fewer than 9 months to go until the UN Climate Summit in Baku, negotiators are currently staring at a long list of options and no agreed details for the goal that is due to kick in from 2025. They still need to work out everything from how large the overall sum should be to what it needs to pay for, over how many years, and the best way to monitor the money. But nations are at odds over what upcoming negotiations should prioritize. Most developing countries want to talk about numbers and commit rich nations to stamp up the highest amount of cash possible with the fewest strings attached. Meanwhile, developed countries argue it shouldn't be just them paying and want the focus to be fast on broadening the list of contributors. That is it for climate news and what is happening across different parts of the world.
And well, away from that, we now look at what is making headlines from our newspapers with the press review. We start off with the New Vision making the headlines as clear confusion on party presidential flag bearer NRM cadres petition SEC over 2026 candidate. Of course, there is also a pictorial of the National Resistance Movement cadres and patriots during a one-day symposium where they petitioned the Central Executive Committee regarding the 2026 presidential election. This was at the Katikati restaurant at Lugogo in Kampala yesterday. Now, also, you can look at tough rules issued on school food in regards to safety of learners. Then, in the security matters, Uganda's crime hotspots have been named with the annual crime report. Makerere opens Mutesa Museum. Where is it and how will you be able to access it for those who are highly interested in the remains of the kingdom? But now, besides that, we head to the Daily Nation that is with Kenya. Exposed 149 members of parliament who failed Kenyans. Read about those members of parliament as there is a protest as the Azimio MPs stormed out of the chamber during a vote on proposed amendments. Quite intriguing there. Then ministers put on notice as cabinet retreat ends, as Embakasi fire victims lament empty promises by state officials. Then there is also a roadmap to fix debt mess and pay suppliers. In the other news, in regards to health, head injuries caused Kiptum's shock death, as also Integrity private farms running e-citizen according to what the auditor says. So that is something that you can use in regards to that. And then also in today's Daily Monitor, this Thursday, there is a column by Daniel Kalinachi. How much more value would we create and retain if we served properly brewed Ugandan coffee or tea in every public office, instead of pontificating on grand policy plans and riffling through taxpayer pockets to hand money to doggy Campbells? How about we wake up and simply serve Ugandan coffee? Well, Chirabo Robert Nyonyitono is a huge ambassador of Ugandan coffee, and I think this is a message that he would definitely embrace or pretty much endorse as an individual. Because when you look at some of the meetings that normally happen in Uganda today, even in the parliamentary meetings, you will have to ask around which kind of coffee are they having, or are they even serving coffee? Many of them are normally serving milk, obviously, that is Ugandan milk, and tea, because some of the tea bags are also supplied or produced from Uganda. But then the worry is, some tea bags are also imported from Kenya.
Do you know what annoys most? Then you find them at the end of the day dozing in these meetings. Yet our Ugandan coffee can help you. You find they are reading the budget and you look through cameras, and if you've been sent to cover, you have to look for which shot should I take that doesn't expose someone in a dozing posture.
Well, it's Thursday. How about you wake up in the morning and take a cup of coffee or your Ugandan tea as your breakfast today? But well, after the break, when we do return into our newsreel, our conversations will be rotating around the annual report of 2023, looking deeper into it and citing some of the key highlights from the same report that was released by the Uganda police yesterday. But as of now, let's get into our inspirational song. This particular one is coming in from Two-Face Idibia, also known as Tu Baba. The title of the song is African Queen.
Live from UPC Studios in Kampala, this is Good Morning Uganda.
Yeah, yeah, you are my African queen. Ooh, Lord, ooh, Lord. Just like the sun, light up the earth, you light up my life. The only one I ever see with a smile so bright. Hey, and just yesterday, you came around my way. My horse in way with your astonishing beauty. Oh, you couldn't make a brother sing. No ordinary thing, a supernatural being. And no, you are brighter than the moon, brighter than the star. I love you just the way you are. And you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. You take me where I've never been. You make my heart go ding-a-ling-a-ling. Oh, you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. And you remind me of a thing, and that is the African beauty. Hey, yeah. Ooh, you are my African queen. Oh, Lord, out of a million, you stand as one, they are standing one. I look into your eyes, girl, what I see is paradise. Hey, you captivated my soul. Now every day I want you more. I cannot deny this feeling I'm feeling inside. Hey, no one cannot take your place, you cannot take your space. And it's a fact I cannot erase. And no, you are the one that makes me smile, make me float like a boat upon the Nile. Girl, you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. You take me where I've never been. You make my heart go ding-a-ling-a-ling. Yeah, you are my African queen, the girl of my dreams. And you remind me of a thing, and that is the African beauty. And I know, oh yes I know, you are my African queen. And I know, see I know what I am feeling in my heart and in my soul. Oh, I know that it's this love, and I know that this love was surely sent from up above. 'Cause you're the only one that I think of. You are my African queen, and I know that it means that you're the only one that I will serve. I'll give you my heart, my love, my body and my money. Every other thing you think of. In a man who could think of anything better than you, who could think of ever hurting you. Sacrifice my all, I'll give it all to you. You are my African queen, for real. You are my African queen. The girl of my dream, the girl of my dream, where I've never been. Oh, la la, yeah. Ding-a-ling-a-ling. Oh, la la, you are my African queen. You are my African queen. The girl of my dream, my African. You remind me of a thing. Oh, that is the African. So black, so beautiful. I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Hello there, good morning and welcome along to our newsreel this morning. I am Joram Paul Sonko and this is Good Morning Uganda. It is time for us to get into conversations that are pretty much focusing on matters to do with internal security. And as I talk internal security, that takes everything concerning safety and living in a crime-free environment as Ugandans. Well, if you're to look at how the world is actually, kind of structured, you would be very happy if at all you are living in a neighborhood where cases of theft or robbery, cases of kidnap, let's say cases of child abuse, cases of domestic violence aren't so much of a common kind of center of focus in that particular environment or locality. But besides that, yesterday, the police released the annual crime report for the year 2023. A week earlier, that was just earlier this week, I should say on Tuesday, we were discussing and looking into the first report for 2022 and looking at the fact that then crime had actually increased. Surprisingly here, according to the new police crime report, we have a 1.5 reduction of crime. And that is a good way to start the year. If at all 2023 did not have a lot of crime registered by the Uganda police or by the authorities in charge of maintaining law and order. So our focus points here is to look into the highlights of this particular report and also to hear from you, our viewer, on what you think is, what your take is in regards to the fact that police released this report indicating a 1.5% reduction. Do you think that was the right kind of, observation, or there is something that you've noticed besides that? Or also in your neighborhood, you can tell us which crime has been on a high in 2023, and what ways do you think the Uganda police or other crime preventers can work upon this particular issue so that it does not continue in 2024? 2024. Just a quick one here. The 2023 annual crime report, just a few highlights. You get to realize that 94,535 of these cases are still under inquiry in regards to the cases that were reported to the Uganda police. Then 48,632 cases of these were not detected, according to what the police highlighted. And then we also looked at 84,907 cases that were taken to court. I want to get to Chantal Oliver Kandinder to first of all break down for us the crimes as well as the numbers that were highlighted by the Uganda police yesterday as they were giving us this crime report. Chantal, good morning once again.
Good morning once again, Tonko, and thank you so much. Well, just a breakdown of the different crimes as given in the report yesterday. You will realize that at 94,535, you have cases that are under inquiry. Yeah, and then you have cases that are not cases that were not detected, that is 48,632. You also have 84,907, that is cases taken to court, 27,125, and these were cases with convictions. Then you have 843 cases acquitted. You have 10,096 cases that these 10,096 these were dismissed. We have 46,843 cases pending in court, and we have 123,590 submitted to the DPP. But a breakdown still, you have 65,901. That is a contribution towards. That is the contribution theft makes when it comes to the number of cases registered throughout the year. We have 29,884. Those are assault cases. We have 14,681. Those are domestic violence cases. We have 14,846 sex-related offenses, 14,543 break-ins, 10,741 child-related offenses, 12,924 economic and corruption crimes. We also have further a breakdown of 19,004. That is average number of cases reported to police every month. And then we have 1,144 total number of fires registered. We have 940 major fires. We have 189 minor fires and 15 fictitious fires. Then when you talk about traffic and road safety, you have 528,025 total number of common offenses. Then you have 23,608 total number of crashes. And of those, 12,487 were serious, 4,179 were fatal, 6,942 were minor. That is according to the police report that came in yesterday, the annual report.
Well, Tirabo, when you look at some of the cases here, it does show that theft cases were more dominant in 2023. But then, besides that, it clearly shows that domestic violence and sex-related offenses, which have always been among the top 5 cases, are still among the top 5 cases in here. Though I should say the numbers are not as high as that of the previous years, but still having 14,681 domestic violence cases plus 14,846 sex-related offenses, which are kind of the same bracket if you're to put it in that way. Looking at it from your own view, what do you think has led to these particular numbers?
Well, allow me take a little bit of time to explain first, why does the justice, law and order sector, why does the Directorate of Public Prosecution join hands to come up with this report? Because much as we call it the annual crime report, you'll find that judiciary submits. That's why we are talking of how many cases were reported to court, how many convictions, how many those that are pending, how many were dismissed. Now, the reason is to let the public know that this is how far we are standing in dealing with crime.
Okay.
And these are the natures of crime or types of crime increasing. And to be accountable on what these sectors have done. Now, when this report comes out, of course, many are interested in what crime is high, what is low, but my personal interest is how many of these crimes have we seen justice delivered? And what do I mean by justice delivered? That a case was reported at police, it was taken to the Director of Public Prosecution, it entered court, it was dealt with, a person is either serving a sentence, not on remand, or a person has been acquitted. Now there, justice is delivered. Now, when I look at this report, it makes me shed tears. Why am I saying so? Because by and large in this report, justice has not been delivered. Why am I saying so? I want you to look at this report clearly. When you look at cases taken to court, and you have, out of the cases taken to court, now, cases dismissed.
And also those under inquiry.
These go to 10,096 cases dismissed. Not that justice has been heard. And when I listened to the DPP delivering, she said, why we've had high numbers of cases dismissed is because of non-appearance of witnesses. To me, this is where the sense in this report comes.
Okay.
That fellow Ugandans, you've refused to go and be witnesses, to have justice. If I'm moving here and one of our colleagues shoots me and I die, and you people are witnesses.
I wouldn't want to call it refused.
Or, no, but deliberately, let me tell you, Sonko, maybe you've never had a case.
Others
But
are worried
Ugandans,
about their,
even just leave alone these political motivated big cases, but telling a Ugandan, come to police, you were there. And as a witness, either there is lack of sensitization or someone just feels.
But most of
People,
them are
people
most
pay
of
witnesses.
Most of them are insecure in regards to
Thank you very
who's
much.
going to protect
Yes,
them.
that
after.
is an issue. But Sonko, I don't know if you've had some, where even your colleagues who have nothing to be afraid of. Someone do.
There's always something to be afraid of.
At
Yes.
time, this, when I go there, yet it's just come and tell what you.
Because
So,
even the whistleblowers are
come in
scared,
court.
by the way.
there are some crimes where, yes, I accept why people would be scared. But Ugandans have become so individualistic.
Okay.
I'm a member of an LC, and I see how what we go through just to tell someone to go and witness. Not because even they fear. And sometimes someone will openly tell you, Mumpa mafuta,
Oh.
give me fuel. Someone will tell you, Mayor was there in that case, but funira muwa, not fighting crime. So this dismissal speaks to so many. Then got how many cases secured convictions. Shatta was reading figures here.
Yes.
How many cases were reported and how many of those secured conviction? Just give us the figure of reported and those are secured conviction.
Those are around 27,125
Out of how many?
cases. These were cases with convictions. Then the cases acquitted, 843. Then cases dismissed, 10,000.
But I'm so interested in, if we are not having half of the number of cases reported,
Yes.
securing conviction, where is justice? Because I take you back to the initial stage, the purpose for this report that Ugandans should pick interest is
Is that
when we
justice was
justice
served.
being concluded. When I report a case, I just don't want statistics to be recorded.
Very
You
true.
know, you know, sorry to cut you short, Chairable. In the beginning, Sonko was saying, even in our poll question, we're asking about the 1.5% decrease in crime rate. This is, it's more like how I can say, this person is okay, but they're just short on intelligence. I'm
Exactly.
literally saying they are not bright. I'm saying they're not intelligent. If I say they're short on, I'm trying to be polite. I'm trying to be political with my answer.
Yes.
So it's more like how I can say, or you ask me, how was the food? And I say, it was okay. You get it? I've given you an answer that seems positive, but actually it's not positive. Yes, there is nothing positive about it. This is a form of reporting. I was trying to look for the word that describes this kind of reporting, and I'm still failing to get it. But it's a form of reporting, one that I don't want to use strong words, but it's a form of reporting that paints a positive picture. But then if someone does not go into detail,
yes,
they will not see even some of the details that you're pointing out right now.
And Chantal, on that matter, you as a driver, and Robert, I think you will also give a point on this, someone who's always on the road riding. When you look at, there's funny, I won't even call them funny, they're interesting numbers here that are really shocking. When you look at the total number of common offenses in regards to traffic and road safety, these numbers are even more than the crimes being reported. We have 528,025 cases of these. These are not crimes, but offenses on the road. When you look at it in this way, at times, I think, as much as we're saying, when the police is coming out to give us the crime report, this is something to do with the Ugandans now. When you look at these cases increasing, where is the issue? Where is the challenge with such offenses on the rise, Chantal?
Well, it still doesn't make sense to me, because still when you're reading through, the police says they have strengthened discipline and adherence.
But the cases are increasing.
But the cases are increasing. Yet the discipline, in this case, the first thing I would think about is the fact that traffic police has been reported to be one of the most corrupt. So if these offenses are increasing, why is traffic police? What do they have to say to us? What is the reason as to why there is this increase in these so-called small offenses? But also, as Ugandans, what are we doing that is wrong, or what aren't we doing right, so that we reduce some of these cases? Because at the end of the day, it's our lives that are at stake, especially when we are on the road. So it's going to take two. It's going to take us Ugandans want to be more disciplined, but it's also going to take now the regulatory body to make sure that these offenses actually go down. But the report just seems not to be balancing it out the way it should be.
Well, and Chiro, when it comes to the report, not balancing it out, I'll use Chantal's words, because like she has said, at times when we put out this report, the question is, like you've mentioned, where has justice been served? What should be done now? Because we are looking at these cases, and then the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs will come out and say they were short of course, we've had all these particular reasons. They are short of funding to their specific ministry in regards to making sure that these cases are settled or justice is served. Of course, you will also have to agree with them in one way or the other with some of the points they put across. But in your own view, when you look at the cases increasing, but then also, seeing a report that pretty much shows that there is lack of justice prevailing in the communities where these cases are on a rise, what should be done?
Well, first I want to, on the other side, commend Uganda Police and all these agencies, because the situation could have been worse.
True.
We must appreciate that there is effort that has been done.
The decrease of 1.5.
To have the decrease of 1.5. It is so minimal in terms of academics if you're to look at statistics. But it is worth appreciating, because between you and me, these gallant men and women go out of their way for us to have the peace and have these cases reduced. It's a positive, but we are saying it's a drop in the ocean. So it may not have so much of a bigger impact. But yes, good, we commend the efforts to do that. Now, when we ask ourselves, what should be done? Because generally crime has reduced with that percentage, but we have some particular forms of crime that have increased, or others have maintained stagnancy there. Now, first and foremost, I'll begin with the traffic offenses. Uganda Police Force, the traffic department, there are very good traffic officers there, but I must say, we need to fight corruption. The Director of Traffic Lawrence Niwabine, a very active person I've known in the police force. Corruption remains a problem. I remember there was one time I even called and gave the director on phone over a police officer who was extorting money. I said, these are simple things, deal with them. At Ginger Road there was a young man who had made it a habit every evening to make one lane. Then when he sees these motorcycle boys coming, he parades officers. They just grab them and take money from them. That is a one-way. Yet it has directly been made a one-way. It's not. So, element of corruption is so much. These accidents that are happening today, most of them are happening because of corruption. Leave alone recklessness of drivers, recklessness of riders, most of those on two wheels, the border, that is a menace that police alone will not fight. Other stakeholders should come in. Ministry of Works, the rate at which we are clearing these motorcycles is just too much. Can't we have a cap and say maybe a month, though it's a business, because of how dangerous and what the country is spending, we must not exceed this amount of motorcycles? Because today motorcycles are going to become more than the people. And given the nature of our roads, accidents, when we also look at the road designs, so Ministry of Works has a lot of work to do before we persecute police here. As individuals, when you get on our road, for me, I don't even want to use the word accidents, because I may say, to me, an accident must be an act of God. Not something you predict. Chantel tells you, Robert, my wipers are not doing very well. She's in her BMW driving out. But saying her wipers on a rainy day. So uncle with a Subaru tells you, Chirabo, brake is no simanyi. And you sit in that car and so uncle knows there's a brake problem. Ruben with a golf comes in and says, you see, these clashes. You sit in that car. So then we hear he failed to negotiate a corner because he lost brakes. So those are not accidents. Us ourselves, we have a problem. Then when we go to general crime, away from only traffic, one, still corruption is a problem. Then of late, these are facts that we may not want to accept. But those police officers we are talking about, many of them issues of rank and file have become a problem. A man is investigating a case, then there is Gambanogu. And he's disorganized. I interact with police officers on daily. Sometimes when we are doing investigative stories,
Yes.
you follow a story, this officer has been very cooperative, the next morning you go back as if you talked to a very different person. When you
He'll even
squeeze
see
him,
you and hide.
when you squeeze him, he says, Chirab, a file was removed from me. When we still have selective justice, this is a bitter truth.
The law is not supposed to have eyes.
justice. This is going to kill efforts by very many police officers. A man gives in, a woman gives in, investigates, has this, then the file has been called to headquarters. This, that. So these make it hard for people who are involved. Then final on that, confidentiality. I've talked about people not coming as witnesses in courts of law. People not coming to give information to police. Why? A criminal gets to follow you back who gave information. A person may see a neighbor not taking a child to school and goes and reports. This person says, but how did you know? And says, your neighbor came here and told us you have children who are not going to school. So, how am I going to respond to this neighbor who went and reported me? There must be improvement in confidentiality. There must be, we must fight corruption at all levels. And we must ensure that a police officer can handle a case conclusively without interference.
And also, lest we forget, just at the start of this year, the welfare of the police officers was something that was also highlighted as really something very critical to look at in regards to the way they are living, the houses they stay in. That is something that, well, the government should as well look deep into. But to you, our viewer, you can share your views on the same kind of discussion we're having this morning with your take on the police crime report indicating a 1.5 reduction in crimes in the year 2023 with the report that was released yesterday. WhatsApp number is 0709-602-592 for any of you who wants to give in your view or views in regards to this particular matter. And on the X app, you can use the hashtag UBCGMU as well, and then give us your view and comment on the same. I'm having comments coming in, but I'll be going through them a little later. Let me get back to Chantal Oliver Candida. Gerald was mentioning some critical points in regards to what should be done, really, in regards to the fact that we have seen the numbers out, the highlights of the report. Obviously, it is on a good note that we have a decrease of 1.5%. What next then? Because if this report is actually released every other year, we have to go back on the drawing board to see what is really happening on ground. Because then Ugandans will be happy with these reports if at all the number of times that justice has actually prevailed through the cases reported is also as high as the decrease of these crimes. What would be your take, Chantal?
Well, the beautiful thing about reporting is that when you report, then you know where you stand. That means it gives you direction on what needs to be given so much focus and what can come next after that. So in my own thinking, this should be able to give us where do we start from. This should be able to give us direction on what needs to be given more focus. And it's at this point that I would like to call upon all Ugandans and also the parties involved, that is the men in uniform. Let's work together. Yeah, if I know my car has a problem, let me work to make sure that I have it fixed. And if I am on the road, I should make sure that whether the police is watching or not, I don't make a mistake or do things that are going to put my life and the lives of other riders or road users at stake. If we get responsible as Ugandans ourselves, then it's going to make even the work of the police a lot easier. Also, Ugandans, stop bribing police. If you don't give out these bribes, they will not ask for them. Have you ever interacted with the police guy who will not even tell you that he wants money, but you're the one who initiates it, or you've seen people initiate it, and the man has no choice, probably thinking about her. I didn't leave anything at home, so let me just take and go.
You start your car and you have changed money to bribe the police along the way, and you're very comfortable.
Why don't we stop such habits? Because we are the same people who are complaining police is corrupt, but we are the same people facilitating the corruption. We even negotiate with them. No, you make 10,000, madam. You get it. Why would we be having such conversations? How much is that ticket? For example, you made a mistake. How much is that ticket? Sometimes it's just 20,000. Out of mere mistakes. And if you've noticed, sometimes when you apologize to these police officers and stay humble, they will let you be, especially if it was something that can be ignored. You will be warned, yes, but they'll extend some grace to you. Personally, I've experienced it. You lower your window and you talk to this person like a fellow human being. Some Ugandans are arrogant. You treat the men in uniform like they are not deserving or they're not worthy or like they're supposed to suffer or something like that. So treat these men in uniform with respect. Talk to them humbly. Be humble. You've made a mistake, by the way. You don't get the right to be arrogant and rude. You don't. So stay humble. If they say they're giving you a ticket, don't throw money at them. You are the reason as to why they're still collecting this money, because it's available. So how about you cut down on the money, cut down on the arrogance, cut down on how rude you are, and then work with these men in uniform. By the way, if you did not know that you're not supposed to make a U-turn from here, they will even teach you. They'll tell you, no, on such a place you don't do a U-turn. Yes, we don't have the road signs like we should be having, but they will teach you. So let's work together. Then when it comes to government, now that we have the report out, what plan is being put in place to make sure that crime reduces further? Now, since 2023, we had a 1.5 decrease. How about maybe by end of 2024, we see progress? Because the issue I've seen with these reports is that they keep varying. This year we reduce, another year we increase, another year we reduce, and we stay as if we are stagnant. So let's put our focus on making sure that crime reduces, and how we can do that: proper supervision of the different individuals that are in certain offices, and proper punishment for people who fail to perform on their duties.
And well, to you, the Ugandans out there, just so you remember, if at all there is crime ongoing in your area or in your neighborhood, it is also back to you to report such a crime. You have the LCs, you do have the police in different areas. You have to report, because it starts with us to put an end to these levels of crime. And any sort of crime that is happening in your area, you have to be against it. And for those who are calling in, please just send in your messages through the WhatsApp number, or even using SMS. Let me go through some of the comments here as we are summing up with our conversation this morning. This viewer says, good morning, family. If there is a 1.5 reduction, then it's an achievement, however little it looks. But it seems the police needs to put in much effort to crime like theft, because it's so rampant nowadays, where people are robbed in broad daylight, even around police posts. Imagine. Chirabo, in a minute you'll comment on that. I think let police shift the energy it uses to make that report and use it to mitigate those crimes, because even without statistics, we can be informed. Cricket Derek Gargamel from Makindi Luafu, but well, we still need these statistics. Cricket Derek Gargamel, this other viewer Rashid has actually deleted his message. Chirabo, in a minute, this one
First,
says, the broad daylight robbery, even during the traffic jam.
now this goes back to us Ugandans. Who do we send to police?
Okay.
And these security agencies. Today, police is carrying out a recruitment. There was an exercise going on. How interested are you that you have the right people? Go and get these arms. Most of these robberies, you'll find goons in police, goons outside. That these people associate comfortably. And if you're very serious, they'll tell you, where were you robbed? Then someone picks a phone. These are true stories. Tell you that must be. You know, so who are we sending? Are we sending people of integrity? You chairman LC1, you DISO, you RDC, who is spending signature for this person to enter the forces? Now, finally, I want to call upon police and the judiciary. If it needs the judiciary to train officers on how best to investigate cases, so that they have the facts. We need to expedite the process of how many cases we dispose of. This police report would make more meaning if we look at all cases that were reported, were thoroughly investigated, and facts given. They go to the judiciary. The Ugandans are willing to be witnesses, and there is proper witness protection, so that we look at how many cases have been dealt with, either acquitted or convicted. That is when Sonko will fear to commit an offense. That is when these issues of people go to cells and come back. We have people on remand. They are later released back to the community. And then they start from where they started. So we need to ensure that each case that can, at least let's have a 25% or 50 conviction of cases.
And well, with that particular submission from Chirabo, we're coming to the end of our conversation. But to you, our viewer, you can continue sending in your views and, of course, opinions in regards to the same matter. And also to remind you to be very vigilant in regards to the broad daylight robberies, especially around the traffic jam. If you're a driver, it's always good for you to, pull up your car windows, and not only that, but also make sure that your doors are closed all the time. And for those moving within the CBD, to make sure that at least you're hiding your most sensitive kind of goods or accessories with you. I do have a viewer from Wakiso from Cold Gift saying, good morning, UBC, thanks for the show, and also thank you for viewing. Then one more comment coming in from Lawrence, aka CR7, who says corruption in the high level is the main reason as why pending and suspended criminal cases do rise. That's why some victims are not standing on their crimes because they are afraid of justice. Well, that's something I did not understand. But thank you very much for your view, Mr. Lawrence. And well, that's it for our newsreel. Coming up is the GMU Tourism Express. Stick around for more. Good morning.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
Junko.
Yo.
Wachiko.
Check the shopping, man. What's your secret?
Uganda wange. Haven't you heard of the parish development model PDM?
Yes, I did, but I thought it was just a talk.
No, Sebatia. It is real. I and a few friends together formed a circle, accessed money from the PDM, invested in a portrait project, and now things are moving.
Junko. I thought I was one of your friends.
You are.
But you left me behind.
I didn't leave you in poverty. What you do, just visit your LC2 chairperson and your parish chief and start the process of economic transformation. Just like that. The parish development model is an initiative from the government of Uganda through the Ministry of Local Government designed to transform all lives of Ugandans for the better. PDM, my parish, my development, my life.
Uganda being the pearl of Africa, it is blessed with the big game. What are the big game? These are the 5 most or strongest animals in the world. When we talk about the big game, we are definitely talking about the lions, the king of the jungle, the buffaloes, elephants, rhinos, and the leopard. Today we are blessed that we are exploring the kings of the jungle and those other lions. We are at Uwek, the only, not the only, but the major exosuit that we have in the country. It is a home to 13 lions. Some of them have been bled from here, and others were just rescued from different areas, maybe like Sophie, who was rescued from Action Falls and brought here. She was hand-raised. But something that is most amazing about these lions at Uwek is the hand raising of these lions. Did you know that you can hand raise lions? Like you feed them with formula that is maybe they've made research and known what is contained in the breast milk of a lion, and they mix formula that can be fed on by these lions. So you hand raise lions, and maybe at about 3 months or 4 months, then that is the time they start introducing them to maybe minced meat and introducing them to soft meat. But it is exciting to know that you can actually rescue a lion from the wild and then hand raise it, and you feed it to see that it doesn't die out. However, we cannot say that there are not cases where lions have been hand raised and they still fail to make it. But this is one way that shows that there is a lot as humans that we can do to conserve the environment, but also to preserve the wildlife for the future generation. So here at Uwek, you see how lions are so much taken care of, the concern that they have, the medication they get, the concern, the environment, how they clean their places where they stay. It is just exciting to know that There is an HCCT in Uganda where they take care of these wildlife, these wild lions, and they live to their full capacity as they would live in the wild. So if you haven't taken time to explore or to visit Uwe, this is one place that you're sure, you do not doubt that when you come here to work, you're definitely going to see these lions. Hi, Amy.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay, how are you? Fine. It's nice to know that we are going to have some good interactions and discussions about the species at Uwe.
Yes, my name is Aine Magara Anwell, and I'm a zookeeper here at Uganda Wildlife Conservation Education Center. I've been here for 3 years, keeping lions, rhinos, different wildlife. Lions are among the top game people travel across counties to look at. They're magnificent animals. They are associated with power. They are kings of jungles. They are roars. Their size. They are very, very magnificent animals to look at. And most tourists on every safari, in every conservation area, they look forward to looking at the lions, and also them being the biggest cats that we have in Africa. They are also associated with teamwork because they usually hunt in very, very huge groups. But also, lions are also, the fact that males do less of the hunting and females do most of the hunting. It excites people that the females do most of the work, but the males eat first. Yeah, just like most African homes, I guess, or most homes.
That is unfair.
I guess so. Yeah. So the breeding of lions outside their natural environment, something not very challenging, because for animals just like people, in order to breed, you should have food, and the right sexual ratios. So if you have a male and a female and they are feeding well and they are well cared for, they will breed. And usually lions, the females reach sexual maturity at around 4 years. Males go up to 5 to 6 years. However, those in captivity reach sexual maturity at a very early age. We've seen male lions like Africa reaching sexual maturity at even 3 years, being able to father children or being able to father cubs. And the reason being that when they are here in a captive environment, they eat on a daily basis. So they mature very fast compared to their counterparts in the wild. So they can easily breed in captivity than in the wild. But also in the captive environment, all conditions are controlled. It gets sick, immediately intervene. And most people ask me, how do they medicate lions, their lions. So mostly we medicate through food. Depending on the condition or depending on the assessment of the doctors, you can either through food or you can put them to sleep and you work on them. Yeah. So it is, but also the rate at which lions die in the natural environment is alarming. Almost 1 out of 3 die. They don't reach maturity. But here you can have 5 cubs and all the cubs grow, because they will eat, the mother will breastfeed. But even if the mother doesn't want to breastfeed, we do what we call hand raising. Some of the lions here have been hand raised on formulas. There is a formula for cats called S-Brac. So some of the ones that are rescued, or sometimes the female lions in captivity have what we call poor mother abilities. They fail to raise a young one. So we come in as humans, we hand raise them. A lion like Ali Upareria, he was hand raised, and there she is. There he is, probably 3 years. Yeah.
So at work, you can actually engage in so many activities that can actually get you closer to these wild animals. And one of them that has been common is the behind the scenes experience. But today I got to learn that there is also another activity that is dubbed Keeper for a Day. So this day you come and be a zookeeper just for from morning to evening. You engage with the zookeepers, the educators, you engage with vets here. So you see how they take on their daily lives, how do they clean, how do they feed these animals. So you can also have that experience. You be a zookeeper for a day. Well, giving you a travel tip for today, it is quite simple. The fact that we are in the zoo, we are still telling you that when you visit such places, please make sure that you listen. Listen to your instructors, listen to your educators. Some of the times that you visit these places, they can tell you, don't go here. This place is restricted, but you also insist to go there. But if something happens to you, so just make sure that you listen to your instructors or your guide as you explore the beautiful wildlife species that reside in Uwek. Thank you so much. We still have a lot that is coming in from Uwek. We shall take you around the whole zoo, just at the comfort of your desk. Thank you so much.
Well, how are you doing this early morning for the people in the beverages kind of business? This is the right week and the right month for you to be making some good money, to overly stock some great drinks for people to quench their thirst with the kind of weather that we are currently living under as of this week. When you look at the hot temperatures within the country, so hydrate, people who are in need of hydrating are quite many. So that means if at all you're dealing in those particular goods or you're selling beverages, water, let's say fizzy juices and the like, you will be in, on a high chance of making some good sales, especially those in the small and medium-sized enterprises, if I'm to put it in that well. Welcome once again to Good Morning Uganda, but this time round we're in for the GMU Business Update of the morning, of which we are going to be starting off from the fishing industry. As after weathering the severe disruptions caused by the coronavirus pandemic, the Kamos Agros fish farm in Buyikwe district is not only surviving, but rather thriving. Now, directed by Paul Kajimu, a seasoned commercial fish farmer with 8 years of experience, the farm has shown remarkable resilience and growth during and after the COVID-19, or at the peak of the COVID-19 lockdown. Kajimu faced significant challenges, especially in accessing markets, because if you remember, during COVID-19, there was a lockdown really, and you could not easily get to move with your goods or commodities of any nature to try and sell them off. And however, 3 years later, his cage fish farming venture in Lake Victoria is now flourishing, standing out among many struggling smallholder businesses in Uganda. Now, he does highlight the untapped potential of Uganda's fish farming industry, still in its infancy but ripe for expansion, according to him. And of course, with just a quick reminder that if at all you're in the fishing industry, you have to exercise fishing using the quality fishing gear, and also avoiding or putting yourself in the bad books of dealing in the fishing of premature fish species. So if at all you're making all those particular strides positively, then the only issue there will be is trying to access markets. On the local scene, at times it's quite hard because the competition is there in regards to how many landing sites we do have, and the fact that on a wide display, many are also dealing in the fishing industry. But then also when you look at those who want to expand beyond the borders of Uganda and look for market elsewhere, it also becomes quite competitive. But if you do have the right marketing strategies and also have the quality of fish being on all the quality of fish that you put out there on sale, then the chances are you will definitely be getting the market and you will be earning or reaping huge from your investment in that regard. So when you look at in regards to farm yields, currently his farm is actually yielding over 2,000 metric tons of fish, equivalent to 2 million kilograms. This significant output not only meets market demand but also contributes to the employment and development of supporting infrastructure throughout the region under which he comes from. And also there are many farmers, by the way, today who are dealing in fish farming, those who are actually having artificial ponds in the at the back of their homes, many up country. These are all people who are trying to earn a living through the fish sector or the fishing industry, and it's something that you can look at. If I told you someone who is so big into fishing, or not only that, or if you're someone who is in agribusiness, you can look into fishing as a venture that you can try out this 2024. Well, lastly, from the world of business, let's look at what is coming in from the tea sector. Tea growers, stakeholders are saying there is a huge tea crisis that has continuously deepened in the country. As the value chain continues to suffer setbacks in the tea industry, this has been aggravated by falling tea prices at the Mombasa Auction Center. A cross-section of stakeholders in the green gold trade have now turned guns against individual processors and middlemen, accusing them of being the force behind this crisis in the tea industry. Uganda's tea industry has suffered a major blow from low prices since July 2023, with farmers getting as little as 100 shillings to 150 shillings per kilogram. Well, that is too little for someone who puts in too much effort if you are looking for huge sales in the tea sector. Although the falling prices have been attributed largely to several factors, such as instability in the tea consuming countries and low quality of green leaf due to high production costs, some individuals say they have been let down by private players, especially on the processing end. And some of these particular players are the middlemen, and then also those who are pretty much into the production or the post-production kind of thing. And this is where most of the farmers feel cheated, and then many are actually shifting goalposts into other ventures, but still in line with agriculture. Well, we do hope that those who are dealing in the tea business and recording losses will not continue recording those losses in 2024, and we continue to hope for the best as a country and pretty much as consumers of Ugandan tea. And of course, just like one of the columns in today's Daily Monitor that is looking at targeting meetings that should be highly appreciating the need to consume Ugandan tea and Ugandan coffee in these particular meetings and government offices. It should be a priority. We should push for the Buy Uganda, Build Uganda policy right from our own meetings. Now, besides that, let's end this entire business update this morning with the Forex market. By opening time yesterday, the US dollar was buying at 3,879.50 while selling at 3,889.50. Then the midday, the US dollar was buying at 3,882.92 while selling at 3,892.92. Then closing time, the US dollar was buying at 3,884.50 while selling at 3,894.50. And then opening time saw the Great Britain pound buy at 4,905.34 while selling at 4,917.97. The euro was buying at 4,199.14 while selling at 4,209.13. The Kenyan shilling was buying at 26.69 while selling at 26.76. The Tanzanian shilling was buying at 1.52 shillings while selling at 1.53 shillings. And the South African rand was buying at 205.87 while selling at 206.40. And that is how you will find the Forex market as business opens today morning in Kampala. That is courtesy of the Bank of Uganda giving us more details from the Forex market. Well, that is it for the GMU business update. And I'll be back on Monday with details from the world of business. But stick around to Good Morning Uganda, because coming up shortly is the traffic updates. Look through which places can you try to beat the early Kampala traffic. Chantal Olive is right here. Good morning.
It is 5 minutes to the top of the hour, and we are going to be checking which route is best suited for you to move if you are coming from Nigeria and Chira and you're trying to use Mbogo Road to make your way to town. You are free to move, as you can see, all the way through Nigeria 2 and going to Nigeria 1. The only challenge you'll face will be at the junction that has the Nigeria Central Market. It's not too busy. However, there's a bit of slow traffic on there. That is why you'll be finding challenges. Short of that, you are free to move on all through on Mbogo Road. Now, that is Mbogo Road 1. You are free to move as you are making your way to town. And the only time you'll find a holdup is before you reach the Flamingo Estates of Nigeria. That is why you'll be finding a bit of a holdup as you're continuing to make your way to town. Now, after that, still, there's a little bit of traffic. It's not too busy though. That is after Shell Nigeria. You continue on the same road. You'll find a bit of a holdup that is going to be holding you for a few minutes. It's not really as bad. All as you go past Nigeria Hospital, as you can see, it is mad with some bit of traffic. But after that, you are free to move as you proceed onto Nigeria Road, Mbogo Road. Now, if you are coming to town, you're free to move. But if you're going back to Nigeria, you'll be finding some bit of traffic, not as bad. Now, right now, we have reached the part that has the flyover, and as you can see, it is free to move. But after that, that is where you'll be finding a bit of holdups here and there as you are trying to make your way to town. Now, for you who is looking at going to Chikawa Road, you are okay to move, as we are still on Mbogo Road shortly before Chiwatule Mosque. That's why you'll be finding some bit of traffic. Short of that, as we get into the junction, you realize that you are free to make your way to town, and all the way going down, as now you are trying to approach Ntinda. That is where you'll be finding holdups for those that are returning from town going to Ntinda side. Short of that, you are free to move. You'll find a little bit of a holdup shortly before St. Francis Day and Boarding Primary School, probably because of the school and kids already entering a school. That is why you'll be finding a bit of a holdup. After that, you are free to move. Now we have joined the Old Kira Road, as you can see, and that is why you'll be finding the junction or the first lights. You know the junction that has Chigobe Road, as you're taking those that also use that to go to Chambogo. Some use it to go to UNEB. That is the road that takes you down. It's called Chigobe Road. You are free to move onto Chigobe Road as you make your way further. However, if you are trying to make your way to town, you'll find a bit of a holdup shortly after the lights, as you can see, crossing into the next set of traffic lights. And for those that are coming from Muntinda, Nakawa, you'll be finding a holdup as you're approaching the lights. Those who are coming from Chiwatule, Chira, Nigeria, you are actually okay. It's not too busy until you reach the junction. And those that will be going down as if going to Chisasi, you'll be finding no traffic shortly after the lights. But continuing, there's a bit of a holdup on there. But then for you who is trying to make your way to the junction, to the lights, to cross over either through to Nakawa or to continue on Old Chira Road, you'll be finding a small holdup, and that is because of the lights on there. Now, we are in Ntinda, and as you can see, we have a bit of holdups here and there, but nothing to worry about. you are free to move. But if someone is coming from town shortly after Hardware World, this way you will be finding some traffic. But after that, as you get into the junction, the holdups are really nothing to worry about until you cross through the lights to go to wherever you are going. Now, Chimera Road, for those that like to use the shortcuts or those that have offices into Chimera Road, you are okay to move into Chimera Road. There is no traffic. And after that, as we proceed, we are now approaching the Victory City Church of Ntinda. That is where you'll be finding a bit of holdups. It's not as busy, so it's nothing to worry about. You'll probably be taking a minute or two on there. Now, here we are looking at someone that would like to take the Bukoto Ntinda Road. You are seemingly okay to move, but for you who is now continuing further into town, there's a bit of holdups, and as you can see, the yellow shows you that there's a bit of traffic that you will be finding. Those that would want to cross into Naguru, yes, there's a bit of a holdup, but nothing to worry about. It's only because of the junction that leads you into Naguru. But as you proceed on Kira Road, you'll find that there is a smooth flow of traffic. It's not that it's clear, but you can move smoothly. And for you who wants to branch into Bukoto Crescent, there is a bit of traffic, so you might want to take note of that. But if you continue on Chira Road, you are okay to move past the lights. You are still okay to move. Usually you'll find the traffic on there, but nothing to worry about. The next lights on Chira Road, you realize the ones that take you to Old Chira Road. After that junction, after those lights, you are free to move down into the Old Chira Road. But staying on the main, you'll realize that you're still actually okay to move. And depending on whether you want to go to Lugogo Bypass or continue on Chira Road, that is on you. Those who are coming from Lugogo Bypass trying to make it to the lights, there's a bit of traffic, but nothing to worry about. It is usually because of the lights. Lugogo Bypass seems clear for you who has offices there or trying to make your way to Lugogo Bypass. You are okay to move on to Lugogo Bypass, as you can see from there now. Chira Road is mad with some traffic for those who are coming from Chira, trying to make your way to further into Chira. That is if you're taking Ntinda, Bukoto, and whichever, you'll find some traffic. But those who are going to town, you are still okay to move. And we are still on Chira Road. There is a junction that has Msizi Lane, and that is when you're approaching Kamosha Market. That is why you'll be finding traffic. And well, that traffic is usually quite bad because Ugandans, you choose to drive like you were not trained on how to be orderly or even how to be responsible. That is why you'll find traffic on those junctions. But short of that, traffic still continues actually until you reach the junction that has Kesha Mall, the junction that takes you to Mawanda Road, the junction that also takes you to now further into Mulago, still Chira Road. Depending on the road you would like to take, Chira Road as you're approaching Mulago seems okay for you to be able to move. As you can see, it's all green all the way until you are approaching the Tuko roundabout. That is where you'll find a hold up. Now the Tuko roundabout is the one that some call Mulago roundabout. It could take you to Wandega, it could take you to Yusufulule, and that is where you'll be finding a bit of traffic. If you are now going on to the Haj Musa Kasule Road, you are headed for some bit of traffic and some holdups here and there as you are trying to make your way to town. Yusufulule Road is clear, especially if you are moving onto the road trying to make your way further into town. But if you're coming from Yusufulule Road, then you are headed for some bit of holdups in the mid there, but it's still nothing to worry about as you make your way to town. Now, for you who has proceeded on Haj Musa Kasula Road, the next traffic you will be finding will be at the Wandegea lights. I repeat, where there is no traffic police in most cases, you Ugandans choose to drive irresponsibly, but short of that, we shouldn't be having some of these traffic incidents that are taking place. But on that, after that, if you're joining Bombo Road, you are free to move. If you're continuing on the Haj Musa Kasula Road, you're free to move. There's not too much traffic to worry about, except for those who are coming in from Makere Hill Road. That is why you'll be finding a lot of traffic on there. Well, I can't go further than that, but hopefully you have picked a route that you will be using, especially having chosen areas that usually Chira Road, gathers a number of people, and Wandega side also, Mulago side also gathers a number of people. So now you know whether to continue on Haj Musa Kasula Road or to take Yusufulule, depending on where you are going. Don't go bypass, you're still safe to move. Well, that's it for the traffic updates. Thank you for staying with us. Coming up is Good Morning Uganda Agenda with Robert Chirabo Nyintono.
This weekend on UBC.
The grace needs to knock people out. The funniest thing or the irony of it all is, Pastor Cyrus, you could have been raised by a single mom.
Yeah.
And you're so terrible to your wife.
And you know what I say? I was raised by a single mother. And I don't even have time to appreciate a woman. I totally forgotten that I was raised by a single mother, and now I'm just doing what my father did. I don't know how to be a man.
This weekend on UBC. Pick of the day on UBC. Was brought to you by
MTN Momo Pay is the easy way to pay. Dial star 165 star 3 hash or use the MTN Momo app. You don't need cash. MTN Momo Pay is safe and free.
The cardinal role of a government is maintaining law and order, safeguarding citizens' rights and providing essential public goods and services. Throughout its tenure, the government has consistently upheld these principles. This foundation creates an environment conducive to delivering crucial social services to citizens through diverse approaches such as taxation, strategic budgeting, and effective policy implementation. A transformative education system, advancing healthcare provisions, enhancing social welfare, and propelling infrastructure growth, all of which continue to evolve daily to cater to the population's expectations. Supported by a meticulously organized network of ministries, government remains committed to serving its citizens. Coming soon on your public broadcaster, The Front Bench, your interface with the government every Monday at 8:30 p.m. with Joram Paul Sonko, only on your public broadcaster, UBC, inspiring Uganda.
Live from UBC Studios in Kampala. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Wherever you are and you're watching UBC TV, much thanks for doing that. Thank you for being with us all the time. We never take your dear viewer for granted. We appreciate the time that you give to us as we continue to live by our promise of setting the agenda, more so when it comes to this segment of Good Morning Uganda. Issues of national concern are what we bring right to you with a guest or guests in studios, and we discuss and we see what is best for our nation. Now, in case you have just joined, I'm Robert Chirabo Nyonyintono. And this morning, we want to look at something very important, and that is the political landscape of our country. We want to focus on multi-party politics, sustainability of multi-party politics in Uganda. Well, we must remember that shortly after independence, we had issues of political parties. Traditionally, we had the UPCs, we had the DP, there was Kabakaika. We had parties. A time came when they had done more harm than good to this country. And we said, it's not our way to go. But then, due to a number of influences, in 2005, we held a referendum. And Ugandans decided that let's open political space. Let's move out from the movement system, and now people are free to associate with a political party of their choice. I must say the journey hasn't been smooth in any way. We've had clashes here. We've had people crossing from one party from the other, which is no crime. We've had political parties breaking up. Now, the latest we can talk about, we've seen Forum for Democratic Change. DP has had its journey, its stories, even National Unity Platform of late, one of the newest political parties, still in-house backering has begun. Here the likes of people talking about Abedi Wanika, then today you wake up, it is the former leader of the opposition in parliament. You know, there's still those, some saying you're not part of us. So come to NRM. You hear those saying now, many say, show us who is our candidate for 2026, knowing that there is a delegates conference that is supposed to determine who the NRM candidate is. Then at one time you hear the launch of a league, a party, a baby of the confusion in the party, the NRM. You see this, I'm a party member here, but for us we know this. Then come to FDC. Yesterday, the National Council, the Katonga fraction, now we have FDC Katonga, FDC Najana Nkumbi. Now Katonga comes up and says, no, we have a proposal that we should even discard this name if within a period of 2 months our members find it worth it, so that now we have our own name. We do away with FDC. If those fail to reconcile with us, so this is where we are. And when it comes to party primaries, I was watching what is happening in Dokoro woman race. NRM says this is our candidate. The number of independents that are there, Madame Rosemary Seninde was suffering to explain to them why we should not have an independent aligned to NRM. If you felt here. So there's much we can say about multi-party dispensation in our country. Sometimes the violence, cross-party, but also in a party. Remember what happened in Zimbabwe? You had this, you had Sodo, then you had this. So all these. Now, with me on set, I have a person who has watched the political landscape of this country, a political analyst, I must say, but he's also Uganda's ambassador to Dubai. One may say I'm having Ambassador Henry Maiga, who is the Consul General of Uganda's Consulate General in Dubai. But in simple terms, let me just use Uganda's ambassador to Dubai. You're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chirabo Nyonyintono, for this yet another opportunity for us to be talking about the politics of our country.
Now, to begin with, when you talk about multi-party politics, yes, it is obvious these are politics of political parties. But Ambassador, a question that I want us to start with. One, were we ready for opening up political space as a country though we held a referendum, but were we ready?
Well, the matter is up for debate. And it's just as good that you have able gone through the history of this country and as far as party formation is concerned, because I mean, after independence in 1962, there were two major parties, but of course plus another one, DP and UPC, which I comfortably can refer to as independence parties. And the stories of independence parties replicated throughout Africa, that they haven't survived. And the reason is very simple, because independence parties were responding to something, and that was fight for independence, get sovereignty of these African countries, and then begin to do the politics the way it is supposed to be done. But after that, because they lived in those times when we were fighting, countries in Africa were fighting for independence, they didn't know how to live after getting independence. And so a majority of these parties have actually collapsed. You can talk about the Congress parties, apart from, of course, South Africa, the ANC, which is still alive. But the Congress Party of Sudan, the Congress Party of Uganda, the Congress Party of Malawi, and quite a number of others. TANU, KANU, because these were sister parties. All of them have collapsed, or they've changed their names into something else. Which speaks to probably the fact that, as I've said before, that the parties did not know how to respond in the current times. They only knew what to do during the fight to get independence. And once African countries got independence, it became extremely difficult for them to align themselves to the prevailing political situations. And of course, given what was happening, especially during the Cold War times, between the USSR, which was called Soviet Union also, and then the Western Bloc, as they tussled it out between themselves, that affected also these parties that were operating in the politics of Africa. And so, as a result of that, many of these parties are dead. If they are not dead, then they are limping in terms of political participation. Now, come to the modern parties. I don't want to lose sight of the fact that I've been to countries where actually parties are not. I've been to China. I lived there for 5 years. And it's certainly the ruling party that you hear of, which is the national party of the ruling party in China. And it's the only party that is operational in terms of politics. But that country has actually made a lot of headway in terms of development, no doubt about it. There are no parties in the UAE as well. But those of you who have been to the UAE, to Dubai, to Abu Dhabi, and the rest of the places of that country, there's plenty of development. So as to whether parties actually promote development, that one is up for debate. And people can debate it. But of course here, to go back to the point that you're raising, we went through the referendum of 2005. And the biggest feeling in this country was that people should be allowed to have their own parties. Have the NRM, have UPC, have DP, have CP, and quite a number of others. FDC, of course, came on board much later. But they are suffering. The only difference is that, of course, the leadership of the NRM is very strong. And so NRM continues to survive politically. And it will continue to survive, I believe, because of that strength that it has in terms of leadership. And you should also appreciate the fact that actually the NRM itself, as a political party, had different shades of opinion. When they took over government in 1986, you had people who believed in a federal system of government, you had communists, you had capitalists, and so all these shades of political opinion have been married into one political party. And it remains a very strong, a mass party, which is totally different from the rest of the parties that are on the political canvas of this country.
Just short on that, when you talk about the NRM remaining strong, is it because it has, or it was founded on the right foundations, or is it because it is a party in power and definitely it has the resources? There's a scripture in the Bible that says, in my Father's house there are many places. If it wasn't so. So there is so much to benefit and hold people into the party because they have so much to lose once they're out of the party. Is it that, can we say that NRM, according to you, is strong? It's a mass party because it's doing things different from other party. It has proper recruitment policies. It has proper mentorship programs. Because when you talk about the Chama Cha Mapinduzi, you know how we want to become a member. If you talk about the ANC, if you talk about the China Communist Party, these identify, nurture, mentor. When we come to Uganda, today may be UPC at this time. In the evening, I'm welcome to NRM. So where's what makes you think NRM is any better, yet we don't see what has made those parties strong in the NRM? Or is it because it's still, now it's the party in the leadership, there's so much to lose when you move out, and there's much to gain when you come in and join it?
Absolutely. It's extremely important for us to, Ugandans, to appreciate the fact that all organizations, whether political or not, have an aspiration to control resources. A political party, as far as I understand it, vies political leadership in a country so that it can control resources, whether they are human, financial, and otherwise. All those are extremely important. But of course, the NRM has survived. I think you and I agree that it has survived for a very long time because of, one, its strong leadership. There's no doubt about it. Two, yes, of course, it controls the resources. But what made the UPC lose power, even if it controlled the resources, and yet the NRM has not lost power and still controls the resources. So it speaks volumes about the type of leaderships that probably we've had between these two political parties that have been in charge of this country. The UPC had two opportunities from 1962 to 1971 when Idi Amin did the coup that removed the UPC government, and also from 1980 to 1985. The UPC was in control of this country. They had resources, they had the membership, they had all this kind of ISO, because everybody knows what UPC went through and what it did for this country in terms of leadership. But they lost that leadership because I think there must have been really inbuilt weaknesses in that political party, and therefore it lost power in the first place. It had power from 1962 to 1971, which was a space of about, call it 8 years or something like that. And then 5 years from 1980 to 1985. They lost power. Why? Because I want to believe that the leadership was not strong enough in order to galvanize the support it had in the country, and also to bring the country together and make sure that they stay. Because you see, political survival is extremely important for any political party. As long as you survive politically, yes, then you become strong. If you can't survive politically, it becomes extremely difficult for you to claim that you're a strong party. The NRM has been in power. It's now coming to 40 years. And there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that because it has been possible, because President Yoweri Museveni has offered very strong leadership in this country and has convinced many, not only in the NRM itself, but also from outside to join the movement. That is not to, of course, skip the fact that there are others who have chosen actually to opt out of the NRM. But the NRM continues to remain strong because you see, a political party is not a prison. You can come in, you can get out, as and when you wish, because nobody is going to tie you in or chase you out. So it is up to you. You come and support and you get. But you see, to go back to the reason as to why the NRM has survived all this long and continues, and I believe that in the very long, should I say, future, the NRM is going to remain in power because of the strong leadership it has. Yes, of course, it is controlling resources. There is no doubt about it. Any political party which takes responsibility of ruling a country will definitely be in charge of resources. But there are also other parties that have been in charge of countries, and they've had the opportunity to be in control of resources, but they have lost the power. So what makes this President Yoweri Museveni and the NRM remain in power, in my view, is because of that strong leadership that they have in the NRM, and also the really desire by not only the members of NRM, but also people who are not supporters of the NRM, to say that, look, this is the political party that has been in charge of this country for a very long period of time, when we have had peace, continuous peace for a very long period of time. And so it becomes extremely difficult, for instance, to find any other alternative to President Yoweri Museveni, at least for a while, that that is going to continue being the case in this country.
Now, that said, let's look at the fact that, much as we know that for any political party worth its salt, its main aim is to capture power, maintain the power, consolidate power. But that doesn't mean that we don't have a conducive atmosphere for other political parties to thrive. Now, Ambassador, over time, we've had allegations of political opponents within this multi-party dispensation craving for a conducive environment. When you talk about FDC, this current split, they will tell you the ground is not leveled. The messes we are having today are a problem of NRM messing us up. When you go to Democratic Party, they'll still point out that UPC has also its challenges, but still you don't lose this. So for the interest of our nation and growth of multi-party dispensation, have we created both the opposition and the party in power a conducive environment for political parties to thrive, to survive in this country?
Absolutely, I agree. But what are the ingredients of an environment that allows political parties to operate? And as far as I'm concerned, one of them must be peace, because you cannot talk about political parties being operational if there is no peace obtaining in the country. There must be peace. That's number one. Number two, does the law allow political parties to operate? There was a time here when we had conscription in this country. Political parties were not available. They were not allowed to operate, in other words, because it was only the movement that was in control of this country. But time came when people said, okay, fine, and that's when everybody went to their respective political parties. Others went to UPC, DP, and the rest of them. But the NRM remained true to itself, that quite a majority of the people who had been supporting it even much earlier remained supporting the party. And to my view, to me, it speaks volumes about how to retain power, and if a political party cannot either get the power or retain it for as long as it can, then it's not worth speaking. It's not something like a political party you can really worth its name or salt. Just to give an example, because as I've said before, political parties vie for political leadership in the country, whether it is in Uganda or US, wherever you go. Because in the US you can see, because many people are also still talking about problems which are there, impediments, roadblocks, and as far as participating in the in the politics of that country is concerned. Right now, you know that Trump is actually being taken to court almost every day. And he says that is, something that is planned so that it stops him from becoming next president, And so these arguments are going to continue, that the ground is not level, and nobody's going to give it to you, by the way. But the important thing is that the basics obtained, the basics available. Is there peace in the country?
Peace is there.
Does the law allow you to operate as a political party? Yes, we have. And that is since 2005. And so, in my view, it is extremely difficult for anybody to agree with the argument that the level is not, the ground is not level. Nobody's going to give it to you. You fight for it. And if you cannot fight for it, that is up to you. But the basics are available. Because there is peace, the law allows that political parties can be operational in this country. We went through a referendum in 2005, as you've said, at the beginning of this conversation. And all these are opportunities for any political party to really mobilize support. If you can't mobilize support, nobody's going to mobilize it for you. In other words, what I'm trying to say is that the governing coalition or the governing party, because it's an open market. The NRM is going to DP, it's going to the UPC, it's going to CP, and whoever is worth their name, to bring people out from there and join the NRM. The NUP and the FDC and DP and UPC, all of them can go to the NRM. They can try to go to the NRM and try to see whether they can get people from there. So nobody stops you. Nobody stops anybody.
But is it a healthy competition? Because yes, it could be nobody stops you. It could be the laws are there in the land that guarantee political association as a right to people and all that. But practically, because laws, what you have on paper in the law and what is on ground sometimes may not be in tandem. So when you talk about issues of, yes, NRM can poach, NRM can come to this market, look for a Maiga, look for a Chirabo, say you are worth the salt. Of course, that would be a blow to the other party. Is this healthy? When you look at issues where, yes, they have the freedom to go and recruit, and sometimes some people are being blocked, either they're on the wrong side of the law or not following the law, because sometimes also that is very confusing. When police will tell you, we never got permission. Then someone says, no, the Public Order and Management Act doesn't say I get permission, it says I inform you. You know, all these, the difference between what is on paper and actually what is happening. Is this healthy competition?
But of course, I've had that argument many times, where the requirement is that you inform the police. But if you inform the police and there are problems, for instance, with the venue where you're going to have a rally, if you are, for instance, FDC, and the owner says, no, for me, I'm not going to, because the police has to ensure that they give you security. Yeah, they give you security. The owner of the place where those things, I mean, your rally is supposed to take place, has also to give you the permission to use it. And if there are problems to do with the space where you want to have your rally, and if the police is informed and in its own wisdom feels that actually that place is not going to be secure for the kind of rallies. Because, you see, you and I have lived in this country for a very long time. And you remember when Kizza Besigye was doing his walk to work. Because he always wanted to disrupt others who are doing. One time I was coming from Ntinda, my home, to come to town to do one or two things, and so on and so forth. And if we found the roads blocked, I'm not part of FDC. If you want to do your rally, fine. Go and do it where you're not disrupting other people's lives and activities. But every other time Kizza Besigye wanted to come to Parliament, he would go to the Central Business District. So the police were right to stop him from going there. And along the way, even from Kasangati to the Central Business District, you remember the amount of disruption that he would do together with these groups. I mean, at Kaleru and so on and so forth. People were picking people's tomatoes and all these kinds of things. And you know, these ladies in the markets had borrowed the money. You know, they had loans in order to do that brisk business, you know. And then for you come all of a sudden and you're disrupting this woman, this poor lady, who is trying to fend for herself. So police cannot allow those kinds of things to continue, to happen. If you must have a rally, yes, it must be, as you've said, in a tandem with the laws of the country. You must not disrupt anybody. If you want to have your rally, please take it to a place where you're not going to disrupt anybody. And you must inform the police, and the police, if it feels that actually it is a threat to security, they will not allow you. They won't, absolutely. They won't allow you. So in my view, I think people are just using that because they have failed, to mobilize enough support in the country so that they become worth their names as political parties. Otherwise, if they had the capacity to mobilize enough support in the country, the story probably would be different. But because of their failures, I remember, for instance, Mugisha Muntu, he was traversing the country. He was traversing the country, but he kept the law. And he always informed the police, and they would agree on the places exactly where to have these things. And therefore, there was no reason why they were going to stop him. But for Kizza Besigye, or every other time, Kizza Besigye and his group, every other time they wanted to, even in Kyagulanyi, every other time they wanted to come to the city, they would make sure that along the way they are disrupting everybody. And nobody's going to allow you to do those kinds of things. Just go have your rally, make sure that you're peaceful, make sure that you are in tandem with the law, and then you'll have your rally. Absolutely.
While our viewer, we are looking at multi-party politics in Uganda, its sustainability, and you can be part of the topic this morning by simply sending me a WhatsApp or a text message on the number on your screen. Please do that in time so that I can be able to read them out to my guest. We are in a multi-party dispensation, and we want to see political freedoms given to people. We want to see people understanding their rights and responsibility while in multi-party dispensation. Because sometimes we flaunt our rights, but we forget our obligations. We forget that other people also have their rights. So this is what we want to see. How best do we ensure that we don't see political parties dying, but political parties growing? We do not talk about political parties becoming branches of other political parties. We want to see that people understand why they're in these political parties and how political parties operate. Now, this is why I come to you, Ambassador. Have Ugandans understood how political parties operate? A case in point.
Absolutely.
A person goes, voluntarily joins a political party, submits himself to party primaries, loses, then comes out as an independent, either fairly or unfairly. That is subject to situations. A person is a member of a political party, maybe even a vice chairperson of a political party, Then there is something similar, clear, not clear. Then he is launching. One is a member of a political party, even a minister. Then there is something one would think either a baby of a party you're confusing, then someone castigates. So have we understood how political parties operate?
Absolutely. But before I even answer that, as to whether Ugandans have understood what a multi-party political dispensation means, and how actually we should live in that kind of environment, extremely interesting stories about that. But I just wanted to give an example of rallies, how they are organized, for instance, in the UK. Because in the UK, the law is very clear, the law and the policies, is that if somebody wants to hold a rally, you inform the police, you sit with them, you agree on the, for instance, if it's a, you want to do a non-violent protest, so you sit with the police, you as an applicant for holding that rally, and you agree on the routing, you agree on the place, and then you must have stewards to make sure that nobody misbehaves in the crowd that you're leading. All those are agreed on, and that is the UK law. And so when some actually from the Western world come and lecture to us how we should conduct our political multi-party our multi-party politics in this country, I disagree with them, because there must be laws here, and our laws may not necessarily be similar to yours, but we must make sure that the laws are followed to the latter. Extremely important for Ugandans to understand that you don't jump out of your home and then you just walk on the street and you go and do a rally, disrupting the rest of the people. Now, coming to the question that you have asked as to whether Ugandans have appreciated how to live in this multi-party political dispensation, that is, of course, a matter for debate, but it takes time for people to appreciate how to conduct ourselves as long as we have a multi-party political system. Yeah, extremely important for Ugandans to understand that, because if we don't understand that, then there will be problems. There will be problems, and of course many people don't appreciate how a multi-party political system is supposed to operate, because many times you find the party saying something, and this is something that is binding on everybody, and then others are doing something different. That is not how a political party is supposed to operate, because you are supposed to follow what the party has said. Of course, there are, for instance, when we go for primaries, sometimes there are people who are complaining that they've been cheated out of these things and so on and so forth. But that shouldn't stop us to accept to live by the policies and regulations of these political parties. After all, now all political parties have got to have a constitution, which they file with the Register of Companies, and I think now it is the Electoral Commission where they're filed. And those party constitutions must be in tandem with the national constitution, for instance, when it comes to representation of women, when it comes to how the youth are supposed to conduct themselves in these structures of the parties, and so on and so forth. So political party constitutions must rhyme as a requirement in this country with the constitution, the national constitution, the constitution of the country. Extremely important for us to appreciate that one. So have people understood how to live in this political in the political party, multi-party political environment? Yes and no. Yes, because we all agree that every goat should go back to its inkondo. The DPs have their party, the UPCs have their party, the NRM people have got their party, and the rest of them. And that one everybody's agreed. Now, where we get problems is how, for instance, the democracy within a political party is supposed to be played. Because there are those provisions in the constitution of the particular political party that somebody might be talking about, that require every member to adhere to them. In case somebody does not adhere, those are the people who you hear have been expelled from a political party. And that expulsion is provided for in these party constitutions. But many parties are very slow at ensuring that if somebody misbehaves, because you see, the more numbers that you have in a political, the more membership that you have in a political party, the stronger you are. So that's why many parties in our country are hesitant when it comes to expelling members, its members. Otherwise, There are actually very many people who misbehave within those political parties that would otherwise have been expelled, but they're not expelled because you see you're reducing your numbers. I'll give you an example. Recently in the US, there was somebody who was a Republican Congress person, and that person misbehaved. I don't remember exactly what he had done. And what the Republican Party did was to expel him from the Republican, and he also lost the seat in the Congress, and they had to go for by-election. Now the by-election has returned the Democrat. So these are things which people must understand, that in a political party you have the party chairman or party president or boss, that you have a chief whip who must whip everybody, yeah, who must whip everybody, especially when it comes to parliament, that people must be whipped to toe the line of the political party. Now if somebody deviates from that line, there are issues which can even lead to expulsion. So have people appreciated all those things? The answer, in my view, is yes and no. There are quite a number of people, yes, who have appreciated the fact that a political party must have discipline, a political party must have a constitution, a political party must have its policies and regulations that everybody must respect. But there are also others who don't want to respect those things. So those are the ones who hear that they've gone for primaries, and even if genuinely they have lost it, they come as independents.
Now,
I'm not saying that all the independents have actually
have
lost genuinely. There are some probably who have been cheated, but the important one is for us to make sure that we accept these party constitutions because they provide
we have some people
how we should behave.
You don't understand. One says I'm an independent NRM leaning. Yes, I'm an independent of NRM. I don't know if grammatically that is right, but even politically if it is right. But someone is very confident. I'm an independent of NUP. Now, as we look at sustainability of political parties, we talk about, we've read so much of parties like the Chama cha Mapinduzi. We've read so much about the ANC, the China Communist Party, and a few that we can still talk about who have grown in strength. They may be very few in number, but they have grown in strength and stood firm. Now, you people of NRM talk about mass party. But let's look at something very critical. That is foundation, membership recruitment as well. I find it very sometimes disturbing that in Uganda, one can cross from one party to the other at their own convenience. Recently, when we had People Power and now NUP came in, you saw how people would join NUP from Democratic Party so easily. Someone will tell you, if I'm going in the West and I want a seat, I must be NRM. If I'm in Central, after seeing the wave and what, I must be NUP. Now, I think this then becomes the problem of some of the issues that we are addressing and why we are seeing that people are sometimes easily bought from one political party to the other. People think they are greater than their political parties, and maybe we may see death of political parties because of this recruitment.
Recruitment is extremely important because for any party to survive, it must recruit and renew its membership. Absolutely extremely important for any political party to survive on the political canvas, especially a political canvas like ours, which is completely, which is very, very complicated. And people are just learning how to appreciate political membership to political parties. So, but what are the processes when it comes to recruitment? Because even before you recruit, you have to identify. You have to identify who are these potential cadres of the party that potential cadres of the party that we can recruit. So the first stage is actually identification. That is, Mr. Chirabo here, Nyonyi Ntono, is a good person, and therefore I think he can do ABCD for this particular political party. And therefore, we approach Mr. Chirabo Nyonyi Ntono after identifying him. Then we talk to him and recruit him into the party. But even after recruitment, that is not the end of the story, because then this person must be groomed to appreciate what the party stands for. And whether parties in this country are actually doing it, I've seen it in the NRM, where people from time to time have meetings to ensure that after recruitment, they actually appreciate what the political party stands for, what the NRM stands for. What are its policies? What does it intend to do for the country? I've seen that happen with NRM. But when it comes to other political parties, I don't know whether that happens. So after grooming that person or those people, then you deploy. You say, Mr. Chirabo, you're a very good cadre of the movement, of the NRM, and therefore we are going to place you in that kind of position so that you can always tell about the good stories, tell about the good things, the good deeds that the party is doing. So it's an entire process that is supposed to be done in order, because you see, if you don't go through those stages, then you will hear of those crossings happening most frequently. But if you have gone through all these stages of identification, of recruitment, of grooming, and then deployment, people begin, after you have done all those things, people begin to appreciate, yeah, this is the political party to which I should belong. And therefore, they will become strong members and they will be given a party card. And you know that you have a bona fide member of that party. So it's a process. And whether those processes are happening in many of these, I've seen it happen in the NRM, but I doubt whether those kinds of things are happening in the rest of the parties. That you go and identify and recruit and groom and deploy, you know, they're not doing it. Essentially, they're not doing it, in as far as I can see. And so, because
I also highly doubt the NRM is doing it. I've most of the time seen your chairperson somewhere. These have crossed, you know, these have crossed. Welcome 100. What?
No, but you see, that one is up. That is true. People have crossed from other parties to the NRM, and there is a lady, for instance, called Hadija Namayaro. And she's doing a very good job, because her job, part of her job is to identify, recruit, you know, groom, and then finally hands over these people to be deployed by the party.
I need to host
and she's doing that
and really understand if this is being done to that line.
No, she's doing it because right now as I speak, she has gone up country to do those kinds of things. That's why I was saying very confidently.
I know you have director cadre recruitment.
Absolutely.
And mentorship or something like that.
Absolutely.
But practicability of that. Anyway, time is running so much. We must leave room to the sportsman. But before I let you go, just a word or two regarding growth of political parties.
Growth of political parties can only be nurtured in this country if people appreciate what the parties, I mean, because many of these people actually belong to various political parties. If you're going to appreciate what your party stands for, I think that is one way of ensuring that multi-party politics becomes as strong as it can or it should in this country, because people have to appreciate what each one of these political parties they belong to stands for. Extremely important, and Ugandans must be must learn to appreciate those things, because it's not just a question of entering a political party and you do whatever you want to do there without going through those processes. Those processes are extremely important, and once they are done, people will appreciate the process. And of course, we had the plebiscite, or people here call it a referendum, in 2005. So essentially, we are having multi-party political system. We've been having it for, you call them, is it about 20 years now? It's coming to 20 years, since we went multi-party. Initially, we had those interruptions of coups and takeovers and so on and so forth. So multi-party political system was not operational in this country. But, you know, this thing as to the process, as I said, is a long one. And we have to go through the birth pains to ensure that actually multi-party political dispensation entrenches in this country. And the only way of doing those things is by people appreciating what their respective political parties stand for.
Well, thank you so much, Ambassador Henry Maiga, Uganda's ambassador to the United Arab Emirates or Dubai. Thank you so much for your time. And my viewers, retired Captain Chitaka, thank you so much for your time, gift from Wachiso, and many that have sent messages. One, we must promote political tolerance for the growth of political parties, but also improve on recruitment and build strong foundations of political parties so that people do not just look at political parties as something to exploit for their political benefits, but understand the ideologies of these political parties and push for the growth of these political parties. Sometimes we are having so much political prostitution unnecessarily because people do not understand the political parties, what they stand for, why they are members, but just want to get something from them to get them where they want to be. See you in the next hour.